but he was kind enough to join us while he's down in Myrtle Beach, 3 hours earlier than he usually joins us, that being Dave Weinberg. It's a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN, and Dave joins us right now. Dave, I don't know what to thank you more for, coming on last minute after I completely botched my entire day, or the fact that you're chiming in from Myrtle Beach, of all places.
Yeah, Josh, I'm fortunate enough to be playing in the World Amateur Golf Tournament down here. Something I've always wanted to do. It was kind of on my bucket list, and the opportunity presented itself this year. So I said, what the heck? And so I'm down here playing 4 rounds of golf at great golf courses and having a great time.
So now, how do you get involved in something like that? Before we get to anything else, I'm curious. Like, I'm not the golf guru that you are, so I got to know, like, how does this work? Like, how does someone get involved in doing something like this?
You sign up. Basically, okay. It's probably like the 30th year of the tournament, I think. But the great thing about it is you're paired with people who are your same level and your same age. Like, I'm in the 60 to 69 age group, and we all have the same handicap, give or take a couple of tenths of a point. So, but there's guys who are scratch golfers. There's guys who are 30 handicaps that can't break 110, but they're playing against other guys who also can't break 110. So it's more about the, just camaraderie, having fun, trying to do your best. I'm basically competing against myself. I really have no illusions of winning my flight. There's like 50 golfers in my flight. Tied for like 14th at the moment. But I'm having a great time, and I'm really enjoying it.
Well, listen, if you're top 15 in your what's called a flight, you said, I mean, that's gotta be some sort of badge of respectability. It's like, hey, man, there were 50 dudes and I was like 14th. That's pretty cool.
Oh, thanks, Josh. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's I basically just wanted to prove to myself that I can hang with people like this. I was a little nervous at first, but that quickly went away as soon as I found out that these guys are all in the same playing ability that I am, and we're all pretty much in mid 80s, low 90s, something like that. So it's I'm really enjoying myself. It's a lot of fun.
Well, that's very cool. So, I'm glad it worked out that you had finished your round and now you can chat with us, because I got to ask you, Dave. The Eagles, they got down to the first 53, and everyone that they cut and waived, nobody was claimed. So I got to ask you, what's more surprising, the fact that they cut Fulgham or the fact that nobody wanted Travis Fulgham?
That's really surprising to me, Josh, considering, he did kind of fade in training camp and, didn't have a great preseason. But for about a month span there last year, he was the NFL's most productive receiver. So I'm kind of surprised that no one would take a flyer on him, maybe be able to light a fire under the kid and recreate what he did last season for that month. That's the most surprising part of it to me, that nobody picked him up.
Yeah, I know a lot of Eagle fans are still scratching their head even now about the fact that J-Jaw made the team over Fulgham. But, listen, I don't agree with it per se, Dave, but the Eagles have been very clear that they value special teams more than other teams do. And right. J-Jaw is playing.
They always have.
He plays a lot of special teams. In one preseason game, he had a special teams tackle and he caught a touchdown. So it was like they obviously see some value there. So I know Eagle fans are like, J-Jaw stinks, but I'm like, yeah, but the Eagles don't care what you think because they need him to go out there and play special teams.
Right, and that goes back to, like, say, when John Harbaugh was the special teams coach under Andy Reid. They've always placed a very high priority on that. And you're right, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, he's a great special teams player. So that gives him an edge over some of the other guys that were on the bubble, the John Hightowers and the Travis Fulghams. I kind of thought they would keep both of those guys, but for whatever reason, they only kept one. And if you're going to keep one, you keep the guy who can do more, and that's J-Jaw.
Also, when you look at the Eagles, obviously they finally admitted things yesterday. They finally said that Hurts is the starting quarterback. They finally said that Mailata's left tackle. But they also came out and overtly said, look, Flacco's the 2, Minshew is the 3, which I'm so glad they finally said, Dave, because the conspiracy theories over the weekend were just getting so out of hand when it came to Minshew. And I'm just like, don't you guys realize, and even how he said it in the press conference, he made fun of himself. He was like, oh, well, quarterback factory, ha, 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 But at the end of the day, listen, if Hurts goes down, who's backing up Flacco? Greg Ward?
Right. To be honest with you, though, I was surprised that Minshew would want to come here. I mean, it was pretty clear that he thought that he was actually competing with Trevor Lawrence for the starting job, which is ludicrous. But he's never been content or never been satisfied with being a backup. And I'm kind of wondering, like, how this is going to affect the quarterback room, because Gardner's got that reputation of being like a very, I don't want to say, he's a competitive guy. And I don't know that he's going to take being the number 3 guy very lightly. And I would think he'd want like a culture that's a little more cohesive, a little more, the chemistry would be a little better. And I'm not quite sure how he's going to fit in with Hurts and Flacco. And I don't understand why you would do that to Hurts. It seems like they're never satisfied with the kid, that they always want to put some kind of pressure on him to create those conspiracy theories that you talked about. And I don't quite get it. Just let the kid play and see what he can do.
It also gets back to, and I'm not saying I hate this, but it does concern me, Dave, that every time the Eagles bring in a new person in the front office or an advisor, now it's Dave Caldwell, who drafted Minshew down in Jacksonville, John Dorsey before that, Joe Douglas with all those former Ravens and Bears players. Andy Weidel is here now. And when Andrew Berry was here, they were talking about Colts players that he was in Indianapolis with. Like, why is it that every person who comes into this building gets Howie's ear and he just says yes to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess they have a kind of an insider's view of some of these players, and I guess they kind of convince Howie that these guys are worth taking a chance on. But I just don't get it. There were other needs on this team, besides third-string quarterback. I know that could be a very important position, especially with COVID. Kind of an unpredictable phase right now. You don't know who's going to test positive, who's going to be sidelined. So you need 3 quarterbacks. But I don't know. I guess they just felt comfortable with Minshew and wanted to bring him in, but I don't agree with it, honestly. Excuse me.
Dave Weinberg joining us for a Weinberg Wednesday, 3 hours earlier than usual here on 97.3 ESPN as he's live from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a place that I would love to go back to one of these days. It's a very underrated part of the country, in my opinion, that part of South Carolina, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. It is.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying that, it's the greatest place in the world, but I'm just saying, I got to go down there a couple times because I was ended up in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a golf course right in Charlotte. That's a pretty. I think it's part of some sort of like circuit of golf course. I forget exactly, but
okay.
I remember being down there, and then we drove across into South Carolina into Myrtle Beach, and I was just like, all right, this is a pretty cool situation. But anyway, enough about my past vacation experiences.
Well, I do have a quick story to tell you. The first time we went to Myrtle Beach with my wife, there was this movie called The Shag. It's like a dance movie that goes back from the 1950s, like a dance contest, and it takes place in the Grand Strand. So we are coming down there. We're driving down this highway, and there's a Waffle House, and then there's a Dunkin' Donuts, and there's another Waffle House. We finally pull over, and my wife asked the gas station attendants, "Where is the Grand Strand?" And the lady goes, "Lady, you're driving on it." It's just like the strip of highway with just a bunch of motels and Waffle Houses on it now. She thought it was going to be this big kind of convention center. It was really funny.
That is funny. That's good. Your stories are better than mine. We also know that. So, but Dave, the other thing I noticed is, and I don't know if we should give the Eagles credit or if we should, kind of shake our heads at them, but everyone that they cut and waived, almost everyone's in the practice squad. None of them are anywhere else. Like literally, I look at the practice squad right now. Graylin Arlen, LaRaven Clark, Fulgham, Hightower, Jordan Howard, Huntley, Jaquette, Craig James, Matt Leo, Sua Opeta, Elijah Riley, Jacoby Stevens, Raekwon Williams, and more. They were just cut yesterday. So it's like, did the Eagles just outsmart the league and say, we're only going to cut guys that nobody wants?
That's an interesting theory. Well, the other side would be that they cut guys who nobody wants because they're not any good. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that Jordan Howard didn't get picked up by anybody. He's got a different kind of type of running back, more physical, not quite as versatile as some teams would like, but he's had some pretty good seasons, and so I was kind of surprised that nobody took a chance on him. But yeah, I guess when you're making these decisions, you want to go with guys that you think you're going to be able to bring back. So I guess they knew what they were doing, although it's a kind of a knock on their talent evaluating, I guess, that nobody else wanted them.
It's just so strange to me, Dave. Like I don't with this organization. It's like on one hand you want to give them credit for something, on the other hand it just makes you shake your head because you're like, what's going on here? Like I don't even know what some of this stuff means. Like Jordan Howard, I thought he was going to have a major role in this team. Now he's sitting on the practice squad, and yeah, you can call him up on game day because those rules are still in effect. But it's just so strange.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There are guys that you think would be able to contribute and would have like kind of a key role in the team. And you're right. The Eagles don't see it that way, but I guess they know what they're doing. I mean, they know more about it than I do, I guess. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, there are a couple guys that Jordan Howard being the key guy that I thought would be in uniform on Sundays, and maybe he still will be, like you said. But I was kind of surprised that they let him go.
Dave, I want to switch over to a little bit bigger sports, macro topic, and that is obviously in the news lately has been the whole fiasco with the Mets. The Mets, the players giving the fans a thumbs down, fans complaining, them having to have this, pathetic apology put out there. And in the same week, Bryce Harper's like, I love the Philly fans. I love how angry they are. How he embraces it, how he wouldn't want to play anywhere else. But in the same week, you have a guy like Joel Embiid saying, hey, the fans, they motivate me. They make me want to be better. But then he says the Philly fans have to be better. And I'm just like, what is going on with these people over concerned with the fans? Like last time I remembered, when I was younger, it was like the players just went out there and played. They didn't worry about the fans too much. Now all of a sudden, all these players have something to say about the fans and their reactions.
Yeah, I don't. I guess they expect the fans to be supporting them regardless, through thick and thin, but it doesn't work that way in a lot of cities, Philadelphia being one of them. If you're not producing, if you're not succeeding, they're going to let you know. I mean, you've seen them boo the team and boo the Eagles at halftime off the field after they've stunk it up for 2 quarters. They love the team, but they demand excellence and they demand success, and if they're not getting it, they're going to let you know about it. But you're right, you can't have thin skin, you can't be sensitive to that kind of stuff if you want to play in Philadelphia. You can go to maybe some other cities that are not as quite as passionate, but Philadelphia is one of those ones, Boston being one, New York being one, that you really have to know what you're getting into when you go to those teams. And you can't like I said, you can't let that get to you. You can't complain. The worst thing to do is to complain about it, to let put thumbs down or fans have to be better. No, they don't. They're paying their money. They can do whatever they want, within reason. Booing being one of them, and that's just the way it is. And you got to accept it or go play somewhere else where they don't care.
Yeah, and listen, if you want to go play somewhere like, I don't know, somewhere like Atlanta where the fans are fair weather, or somewhere like Minnesota where the fans don't even show up for half the sports out there unless it's Vikings football. The other sports teams don't seem to care. Go there. Like, I don't understand this need of these players to clap back or whatever the kids call it now at the fans.
You're just feeding into it by putting it on Twitter or Instagram or social media, what have you. You just have to accept it and recognize that that's what they're going to do. And it's no, and if you go 4 for 4 tomorrow, they're going to love you again. If you throw 2 touchdown passes tomorrow, they're going to love you again. If you score 30 in an NBA game, they're going to love you again. So you just got to take it with a grain of salt. It's a day-by-day thing with those guys.
Dave, one more before I let you go. Dave Weinberg joining us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. Dave, Wildwood Catholic, last week they were moving on from coaches, and now it's Anthony Raffa. And I don't know if I should feel old or not, because I remember playing at 42nd Street basketball court, street ball with Anthony Raffa when I was younger in Sea Isle, when I used to live in Sea Isle. So I feel like, man, what a small world. I mean, I was playing with this guy who's a couple years younger than me down at the courts in Sea Isle, and now he's coaching Wildwood Catholic. Like, what a full circle world.
Yeah, like we've talked about this in the past. It's kind of like a changing of the guard, so to speak. You know, you have like Tom Farraco and Dave DeWeese are stepping down. You're going to have younger guys, you know, taking over for them. Paul Baruffi at Ocean City Girls, probably the same thing. He just stepped down as well. And yeah, I mean, that's just it's a circle of life when it comes to basketball or coaching. You know, it's just guys feel like they put their time in. It's time to do something else or what have you, relax a little bit. And then the next generation comes up to take over. And Anthony being one of them. He's a great guy. He was a tremendous player at Wildwood Catholic and in Coastal Carolina and Myrtle Beach, as a matter of fact. And had some great success over in Europe as well. And now he's coming into the coaching ranks. He was one of Dave's assistants last year. So he's very familiar with it, having played for Wildwood Catholic too. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. You know, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm seriously thinking, like, man,
yeah, me too.
Like, I just remember when Anthony was like 12 years old, and I'm playing, you know, with him street ball at the basketball courts on 42nd Street and JFK. You know, that those basketball courts are right on the boulevard in Seattle. I'm just like, you know, man, that was all those years ago, and man, I'm getting up there. I must be getting older. I'm entering that territory where like people that I went to school with or I was around when I was younger are now doing things too. It's a little surreal for me. That's all.
Well, when you did get to be my age, like my wife just retired from teaching a couple of years ago, but she was teaching like the kids of parents that she taught years before that. So, you know, that's when you know that you've really been around the block a couple of times, I guess. I mean, you're younger than both of my children, so how old does that make me now?
Well, I'm at least I'm not too young. At least I'm 36 years old. You know, it's not like I'm like, you know, 25.
Oh,
or
okay,
something.
you're the same age as my son then. Okay, all right, not too bad then. Okay.
Yeah, I like to say I'm mid-30s because apparently every time I run into somebody thinks I'm in my early to mid-20s, and I'm like, hey man, that's God bless genetics. That's not actually my age though. Dave Weinberg joins us live from Myrtle Beach here for a Weinberg Wednesday. Give him a follow on Twitter at Dave Weinberg19. Also, guys, extra point columns at 973ESPN.com. And, of course, the podcast, Tequila and Touchdowns with Dave Weinberg. Dave, I appreciate you jumping on last minute, making this worth it. I always enjoy talking to you.
Anytime, Josh. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.